Hello and welcome to this, the fifth and the penultimate episode of our Longines World's Best Racehorse Ranking Show. I'm Francesca Cumani, and in this episode we're going to take a look back at the incredible action of the previous rankings month and then look forward to what's to come, including the Melbourne Cup Carnival in Australia and the Breeders' Cup in America. It's been a bumper month of action, with Group 1 racing coming from two different hemispheres and across a multitude of continents, and some real surprises, perhaps none more so than the German horse Torquator Tasso winning the Prix de Triomphe. We'll have more on him shortly, but for now let's remind ourselves of the month that's been.
An eighth to go, Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, American Revolution, a 16th to go. Hot Rod Charlie is opening up. Hot Rod Charlie will win the Pennsylvania Derby.
Medina Spirit makes a statement in the Awesome again, romping home to win by 5 widening lengths.
Et on est associé à James Doyle qui va remporter ce prix du cadran. 4000 mètres et c'est Pouchan, le lauréat de cette épreuve. Stradivarius, le numéro 7 et deuxième devant Bubble Smart.
Torquator Tasso complètement à l'extérieur. Torquator Tasso avec Tarnawa, avec Hurricane Yang qui lui répond. Torquator Tasso avec Tarnawa. Torquator Tasso, et c'est donc l'Allemagne qui va remporter cette première Pitsoulek. Tarnawa sera deuxième, la troisième place pour Hurricane Yang.
And you can be sure, with all this action going on internationally, there's been plenty of impact on the world's best racehorse rankings. So let's jump straight into them and bring you up to speed on who the main players are at the top of the table as the standings progress into the final months. Palace Pier remains on a rating of 125 and shares fourth position with Arc hero Torquator Tasso. There's been a lot of movement in the rankings this month, but it's still tight at the top with King George hero Adayar alongside Mishrif and the now retired St Mark's Basilica on a rating of 127. Last month we featured some of the main contenders for the Prix de Triomphe, the likes of top-rated Adayar or Breeders' Cup heroine Tarnawa. However, Torquator Tasso didn't quite read our script and sprung a big surprise in this year's race. The German horse handled the heavy conditions superbly, and what a way to announce himself on the world stage. We caught up with his owner to discuss the remarkable performance and find out what the plans for the future are.
We're honored to win the ARC, and to win the 100th ARC is also something special. Look to the race, you see he has done a lot more meters than the other horses because we're always on the outside. But that was a plan, what we do, because he likes to gallop on his own. And 400 meters before they began, only 4 horses was then in the race, more or less. And then we thought, now, if it comes at speed, then maybe we have a chance. I tell you, a lot of people think we are crazy because, first of all, I think he has a big invitation to Japan. And secondly, I think we need stallions in Germany. I have talked with the German breeders a lot about him because his father Atop died, and another stallion died just some days ago. So I think it would be very important to have another stallion in Germany. But with an ARC winner as a stallion in Germany is anyway something special. I'm 77 years old, and I think I want to see him running, and he likes it. I tell you, he likes to win. This horse likes to win. You see him in his face, and if the winning is celebrated, he is a really happy horse. So I think we would give him the chance to do it again. Yes, it's maybe our first idea, but we have a lot of time to think about it. I think maybe we will start in Baden-Baden. And then we go to England, to maybe Royal Ascot or in the King George, and then again Baden-Baden, and if he keeps healthy, and that is very important for us.
There's still a whole host of top-class action to come in the final throes of 2021, but more immediately it's Del Mar in California that plays host to this year's Breeders' Cup. It's where the world's best clash. It's elite-level racing. It's a jam-packed schedule over the first weekend in November at a place where the surf meets the turf. To remind ourselves of the action, let's take a look back at the Breeders' Cup of last year, staged at Keeneland.
My girl past the 16th pole in front. She's in front by 2. Valiance is second. As they come down to the line, she did it again. Monomoy Girl and Florent Giroux. Jackie's Warriors giving way. Essential Quality's gonna do it. Essential Quality has won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile over Longshot Hot Rod Charlie. Here comes Tarnawa storming down the center of the course to take the lead. And Tarnawa, the filly, has won the turf. Down the center of the track, but it's authentic in front. He won the Derby. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's authentic indeed. He won it by 2.5.
One man who's sure to be looking forward to the action at Del Mar is Patrick O'Neill. His horse Hot Rod Charlie shot to fame back in March by winning the Grade 2 Louisiana Derby and then putting himself on the road towards the Kentucky Derby at the beginning of May. He was a valiant third that day and has subsequently won the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, and in doing so earned himself a rating of 121. O'Neill is one of 5 young men involved with boat racing, part owners in Hot Rod Charlie. We caught up with him ahead of his horse's tilt to the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Hot Rod Charlie, I kind of get choked up a little bit thinking about it, but Hot Rod Charlie means the absolute world to us. He means everything to Roadrunner Racing, Bill Strauss as well, Team O'Neill Racing. It's amazing how one horse can bring so many people together. He just dominates the barn. He knows he's kind of the king of the lot. When he's in the barn area, you can tell if anybody else gets attention. He gets a little bit angry. When Hot Rod Charlie had just broken his maiden, my best friends in the world that I met in college and spent every waking minute of our lives for 4 years together, playing football, kind of going to class and having fun together. The fact that we had kind of not had so much success, it puts a lot of pressure, or at least it felt like it put a lot of pressure on myself. The guys were amazing. But when you have a horse that kind of makes it to the pinnacle of the sport and runs incredibly, and it was at 94-1, it kind of takes all that pressure off you, and you're like, oh my gosh, the worst of it is kind of behind us, and now it's all kind of roses and whipped cream and cherries. It's like we've come full circle. Like, we owe the Breeders' Cup and the entire committee a ton for giving us a chance that year. Technically, you look at that field, we were certainly 14 of 14 in terms of whether we deserved to be in there. So we were lucky that we squeaked in. But, this year being kind of the third or fourth choice potentially, and Hot Rod Charlie kind of proving it every time and showing that he's not a 94-1 horse, but he actually deserves to be there. We certainly plan to make the most of it because, again, these types of events and these types of opportunities are certainly fleeting. But, he's fit. He's run 5 or 6 times this year. The nice thing is that he's running out of his own barn instead of flying across the country, which he's done the last 4 or 5 times. So it's almost like a home game for him. He can kind of walk outside and embrace the California sunshine and kind of go into the gate and hopefully run really, really fast.
Meanwhile, in the jockey standings, Ryan Moore has had another season to remember and has now further extended his lead at the top of the standings, which finish on November the 30th. He's the only jockey to have secured over 100 points and leads James McDonald from Australia on 72 and William Buick in England on 68. Let's hope we get to see all those top jockeys in the best races around the world in the months to come. Talking of which, as if the Breeders' Cup wasn't enough to look forward to, before that we've got the Kikuka Show or the Japanese St. Leger taking place at Kyoto Racecourse, and we've also got the Tenno Show at Tokyo Racecourse. And then after all the action at Del Mar, we've also got the Darley Sprint Classic at Flemington in Australia to look forward to. So what is absolutely certain is that it's going to be an exciting climax to the Longines World's Best Racehorse Rankings. Make sure you join us next month as it all draws to a conclusion. We'll see you then.